What's up, guys? I'm hanging out here. I was playing the other night with my friends, and I thought to myself, what makes decks CEDH or high powered? We know there's lists out there. This is Cody. It's a Turbo Nas deck. This is, in my opinion, a CEDH deck, or very high powered. But really, what makes high powered commander? Most of the time, I find we build decks and we'll take generals that do funky things and try different iterations. But after a few builds of the general, not talking about Cody here specifically, but other generals, when we build them, we tend to line it up to focus on what's the win con and how fast I can get there, and then a bunch of interaction in between to kind of help out. So it oftentimes, when generals are built and then they're tuned and tuned again, it ends up getting to a certain place. And this is, I think, where EDH in the competitive or high powered or CEDH level needs to change focus away from power levels, because that really doesn't explain the deck. What you should be focusing on is two questions. First question, what turn does the deck want to win? Cody in a God hand could try to win on turn one, but usually at turn it's turn 2 and 3 and 4 are kind of the spots where it tries to go off. So it's winning before turn 5. So the question should be, is when does your deck want to win or try to win? Right? I present my deck. I'm going to say my deck's going to try to win before turn 5. That's a high-powered deck. You know what you need to present in front of me. You need to be racing to turn 5 too. Obviously, there's lots of ways to interact, and you can build an anti-Cody deck. But that's the first question you should be asking when you're talking about high-powered and CEDH games, and when is your deck trying to win? The second a question you should ask, and kind of what I was thinking the other day when I was playing with my friends, why games seem to always get really intense at what we call the shack. That's where we play. What is it? It's mana value. That question is mana value. What curve is your deck? What are the majority of spells in your deck that you want to play? What do they cost? What I'm going to tell you is, the lower the curve, the less mana it costs to cast your decks. You're going to be playing fast and frenzied and trying to win. And those are games that some people don't like. Well, I should say not some people. Most people don't like. Let's be honest. Nobody likes to go there and get crushed and beat by turn 3. But if you know that that's the case, it's not a big deal, because you're going to present, hopefully, a deck that can try to do the same. So really, conversations need to be had about mana value and where your deck is with mana value. I'm just going to go through Cody. I'm going to fan it out and just show you, like, it's 1-drops after 1-drops. A couple of 2s. There's another 2. It's all low mana curve. There's Force of Will, but Force of Will is essentially free. You try to cast it for free. You're never casting it for 5. Right? Jessica's Will. It's 3 mana. That's one of the bigger spells. Wheel of Fortune. Again, 3 seems to be the biggest spell, other than Ad Nauseam. Ad Nauseam. I do have Simeon's Spirit Guide. I never cast it for 3. I'm always pitching it for free mana. That's essentially what it is. Here's my win con, Thassa's Oracle. If you don't know the Thassa line, just look it up. Just say Thassa's Oracle win con. It wins with Demonic Consultation. I don't know if you can read that. Anyway, it's a 3 mana. I win the game, essentially. There's an Underworld Breach line in here. So there's two ways to win. My point is there's ad nauseum, the biggest spell, 5. But everything is like 2, 1. Like nothing is like there's Elder's Spirit Guide, that's a free mana. Everything's 1 or 2. Maybe a 3 here or there. A deflecting swat is 3, but is essentially, if I control Cody, it's protection from me doing something or protecting Cody or whatever. So that's the deck. It's all like it's majority 1s and 2s. This is a very low mana curve deck. It wants to be doing lots of different things, interacting with little mana. And that's sort of where the game is. Look, you have the entire library of magic to build your generals. You can build, let's see, who am I building now? I've been looking at, where's my general? Where is my, oops, looking at this, I'm looking at this. Let's see. Anyway, I'll use those two as an example. So, Quiza, Augur of Anganese, and Dracula the Voyeur. That's that. I forget the original card's name. But anyways, my point is, you can take any one of these generals and build them any way you like. And certainly, you can build them more battle cruisy, where you're waiting until turn 8 to start doing crazy things. But what I find in my play groups is we go, okay, what does Quiza do whenever you draw a card? Target opponent loses 1 life, and you gain 1 life. Okay, perfect. How do I exploit that? How can I win based on that ability? And I put my deck together. Generally, when I'm building the decks, I'm only going to put maybe 10 cards that are above CMC 5. So let's say 4 or greater. 10 slots. Everything else is 1, 2s, maybe 0s. So if you have a play group that says, yeah, just play whatever you want, put it together, all the 0 mana rocks, all the 1 drop mana rocks, and then white, blue, and black, all the 1 drop spells, you can go pretty bonkers with this. Just go burr, as we like to say. Just play out your whole hand and go get more cards. Can you wheel in this color base? Yes, you got blue, right? Time Twister, boom, get a new hand. There's all kinds of things, but what I find is when you put these decks together, if you've been playing for a while, I'm going to say that your deck is probably going to land in the first iteration maybe at a 6 to 8 power level. Right? Let's say you've been playing 10 or more years, right? You should know the game well enough. You should know all the cards. You're going to build your deck. It's going to be high powered. And as you tune it, because you want to make this as competitive as you can, you start reducing the mana cost, and it starts to really feed into itself and try to go for a win con as soon as you can. So really, you have to ask yourself, what mana values do you want in your deck? And if you want the games to slow down in your play groups, I would say start looking at putting mana restrictions as your sort of line in the sand on where you want to play. I want a fast game, use any mana value that you want. I want a slower game? Well, let's reduce 0 drops to 5 and 1 drops to 5. So that's 10 cards that you can play for nothing or on turn 1, and really reduce the mana value. You can also assign points, but point system is, again, it's like the numbering system, like what power level. Assigning points, people have different concept of what this card versus this card should be in points. What you should do is say, okay, mana values. How fast are you going to allow people to win games? So maybe you say, can't win the game before turn 5. So only till after turn 5 can you win. And what's your mana curve, right? Because if you don't put restrictions on mana curves, you can, let's see, Can I play? Yes, look at that. That's a Cody on turn 1. So we'll play this land, pitch this, play this, cast these two, Cody on turn 1 with a mana backup to sack him in case anybody tries to kill him. Turn 2. Oh, there's half a combo. So we go here. Let's activate his ability. Okay. We're going to cast this, sacrificing Cody, so he's now off the table. We'll put him over here for now. And we're going to go get... That's turn 2, right? Yeah, turn 2. We're going to go get Profane Tutor. It's going to cast into Ad Naz. Can I... No, I can just try to win now, right? Yeah. There's my black. I don't have 2 blue. So I could tutor for my win con on turn 2 and just say Thassa's Oracle into my hand. Thassa's Oracle. Where are you? Where are you, Thassa's? Did I pass it? I did. Oh my goodness. Anyways, that's turn 2 Thassa's Oracle in hand with a demonic consultation. Now, ideally, I'd love to have like a silence to back me up. Or a counter spell. So, search your library for a card, put that card into your hand, then shuffle. Alright, so that was turn 2. Now I have, this is my hand. I have a wheel. Oh, I forgot to draw 2 cards off of the village rights. So I got to shuffle. Here's my cut. Draw 2. Did I play a land? No, it's turn 2. Yeah, I did play a land. So on turn 3, I'm going to try to win. I say so a lot, so I apologize for that. There's a mana. I don't have any backup, which is sad, but it is what it is. I would still try to go for this. Win on turn 3. Ideally, you like to have a counterspell, which there are many cards in the deck. Also, silence works really well there. And if that gets countered for whatever reasons, we have a wheel. So a fresh 7 would give us, just having a look, demonic tutor. I can go get the Ad Naz and Ad Naz away from my other win con. That's turn 3. So this can be very frustrating for somebody who's playing, let's say, new to Magic. These cards are expensive to own. You could use price as a guide for the way you designate high-powered or not, but I would still suggest that you look at mana costs. Okay, I think that's really the best way to identify high-powered decks, is to say, what's your mana curve, how fast are you playing, and when are you trying to get to your win con. I tried there, turn 3 to win. Now, obviously, there's interaction, and people will have something to say when I try to win a game, for sure. But if you bring this to something, this is CEDH. There's no denying that. But some people may not consider it. It's a hard deck to pilot. You really have to know what you're looking for and timing and whatnot. But that's sort of where we are, I think, with competitive Magic. People are racing to get to their win con, and the mana curves on decks are low. So if that's your jam, absolutely It is for me and my friends. We just say, hey, you have a library of magic. Pick whoever general you want and go to town. But what ends up happening in week one, it's doing some funky things. Okay, cool, that's neat. But now I didn't win with the deck, so I got to tune it. Well, how am I going to tune it? Well, I'm going to make sure I reduce its mana cost and I can just make it go off really quick. And certainly you can do that. But it's up to you to establish how you want to play. To me, it doesn't matter. I sit down and I want to know when's your deck going to try to win. Okay, you're trying to win by turn 4, 5. Great. I'm going to present a deck that does the same. Right? I think if you're, again, this is just my opinion, but if you're trying to win the game between turns 1 and 4, you're at a CEDH level. If you're trying to win the game after turn 5, you're now in a maybe a high-powered category. That's something that needs to be discussed. I think that's something that's left for everybody to kind of pitch in and offer their opinions on. But I think you can land on power levels much easier if you talk about mana curves on decks. Again, that's simply where I sit. What's your mana curve like? Most people don't know, and there's an easy way to do it. I mean, you can input it in any online sort of resource like Moxfield or whatever, and I think they have statistics that say exactly what your mana curve is on the deck. But that's sort of your CDH level. That's people are trying to win very quickly with low mana curves. So I think it's healthy to be able to play like that. I don't mind if you win. That just means I get to shuffle up and play again. I tend to never... I tend to bring slower decks when I play with my friends, and they end up turning into, like highly optimized decks. We have what we call fun tier, but fun tier is something, I guess, when you try to win turn 5 or later for us. That's fun tier. For me, everything's fun tier. I like to see what you got, what you're bringing to the table, and if I feel that I'm not winning, I'll up the pressure and maybe add, different decks to the table until you get to something like this. This is the most high-powered you can get, I think. These low mana cost decks. So, how to close this off? Enjoy yourself. Build the decks you want to build. Establish power levels based on mana curves and based on when the deck tries to win. Most people should be able to tell you when their deck is going to be able to win. Now, I recently played is it Warhammer Commander decks? A friend of mine picked them up. By the way, I have issues with that. The cost of those is ridiculous. And if anybody's out there listening, please raise your voices and ask Wizards to ensure they print more of those and supply it to the market, because the cost of them is crazy. I was really dejected the other day when I went to the store to see how much. I was hoping to pay $200, $250. $50 a commander deck should not be unreasonable. That's sort of where they should be, give or take a few bucks depending what's in them. But when they first released, within days, each deck was in Canada. So I live in Canada, so that's sort of my frame of reference. $125 a piece. That's $500 for a set of 4 commander decks. And I really wanted them. We played them out. They were great. They were curated really well, so thumbs up to whoever curated those. Really fun, but more like slow Magic, turn 8, turn 9, big board states, a lot of swings, back and forth. That's good Magic. It was fun, so they did a good job. I wanted to buy the decks, but I can't afford that much money, especially nowadays in a recession. And I think I'm going off topic now because we wanted to talk about high level commander. But I think if you keep pushing products like that end up inflating too much in the marketplace, you're going to hurt the product. People are not going to be able to afford it, especially considering we're financially, I'm not an economist, so I can't say we're in a recession official, but the market isn't greatest. Inflation's crazy. Gas costs more, food costs more, buying a home costs more, shelter, so that, everything's more. So Magic, please be careful with how the market flows to how the product flows to the marketplace, I should say. I know you can take the position, well, people are buying and it's not our place to establish marketplace values, but it is. There's a vested interest in that, and you should pay attention. Anyway, enjoy. Go and play some Commander. Play high-powered Commander, because that's what I enjoy. Ask what the power level is by saying, when's your deck trying to win, what turn, and what's your mana curve. What are the majority costs for your spells? If it's all 1s and 2s, you're in for a quick game. Anyways, hope you guys enjoyed that. We'll talk to you soon. Ciao.